During a national salute to hospitalized veterans, Chuck Norris stood not merely as a celebrity, but as a symbol of enduring strength. To millions, he is a martial arts legend and film icon. Yet the strength he represents is not confined to cinematic battles or championship titles. It is quieter, deeper, and forged far from cameras and applause. True resilience is built in moments of fear, uncertainty, and personal trial. At 85 years old, Norris's life reflects more than fame. It tells the story of a boy shaped by hardship, a young man molded by discipline, and a husband and father defined by devotion. His journey from rural poverty to international recognition is not simply inspirational, it is instructional. It teaches that courage is cultivated in adversity, and that greatness begins not with applause, but with perseverance when no one is watching. Childhood in Ryan, Oklahoma. Shadows and survival born. Carlos Ray Norris in the small town of Ryan, Oklahoma. His early years were marked by instability and fear. The modest home he grew up in held tensions heavier than its thin walls could contain. Poverty was constant, and his father, a veteran struggling with inner turmoil, often allowed frustration to erupt into anger. Nights filled with shouting and slammed doors left young Chuck withdrawn and cautious. Childhood, for him, was less about carefree play and more about quiet survival. He learned early how to remain unnoticed, how to read moods, and how to protect himself emotionally. Yet even in that environment, seeds of resilience were planted. The adversity he faced did not crush him. Instead, it began shaping the discipline and endurance that would later define his life. In fear, he discovered awareness. In instability, he quietly began building strength. A mother's faith, the anchor in the storm. Amid the chaos, one steady force guided him, his mother, Wilma. She carried the responsibility of raising 3 boys while navigating financial hardship and emotional strain. Her faith and perseverance provided the emotional shelter her children desperately needed. Through quiet prayers and relentless effort, she modeled courage without ever calling it that. Young Chuck observed her resilience and absorbed its lesson. Strength is often gentle but unwavering. One night, when his father's anger escalated dangerously, Chuck stepped between fear and protection, silently vowing never to mirror the violence he witnessed. In that defining moment, courage was born not from aggression, but from love. His mother's example taught him that true masculinity was not dominance, but responsibility. Her influence would echo throughout his life, shaping his values, guiding his discipline, and reminding him that character is formed by how one responds to hardship rather than how one avoids it. A new beginning in California. Freedom and resolve. At 16, his mother made a life-altering decision. She gathered her sons and moved west to California. The relocation did not erase the past, but it offered something powerful: freedom. For Chuck, the change of scenery symbolized possibility. The fear that once defined his environment no longer dictated his future. Though the emotional scars of Oklahoma lingered, they transformed into motivation. He became determined to build a different life, one marked by stability and self-control. California represented rebirth, an opportunity to redefine himself beyond the limitations of poverty and anxiety. In this new chapter, he began to understand that resilience is not merely surviving hardship, it is using hardship as fuel for growth. The lessons of endurance he carried from childhood were no longer burdens but tools. The boy who once hid in silence began stepping cautiously toward confidence and independence. The Air Force and Korea. Discipline takes root. At 18, seeking structure and direction, Norris joined the United States Air Force. Military life introduced order where chaos had once prevailed. Stationed in South Korea, he encountered martial arts for the first time. Training was grueling, and early failures tested his patience. Yet unlike childhood fear, these challenges were constructive. Each fall on the mat became a lesson rather than a threat. Martial arts demanded repetition, humility, and focus, qualities he had unknowingly been cultivating for years. Over time, discipline replaced doubt. The physical practice of strikes and forms mirrored an internal transformation. Through martial arts, he found not just skill, but healing. The structure of training channeled his past anxieties into strength. In mastering techniques, he began mastering himself. Korea became the crucible where uncertainty hardened into confidence and where survival evolved into purpose. Building a dream. The first karate school. After leaving the Air Force in 1962, Norris returned to California determined to teach what he had learned. With minimal resources but unwavering resolve, he opened a small karate school. The early days were quiet. Sometimes he trained alone, waiting for students who did not immediately come. Yet persistence defined him. Each empty hour became practice time, each setback a reminder of why discipline mattered. Gradually, students appeared, drawn not only to his technique but to his authenticity. By 1964, he entered competitive tournaments, testing his growth against seasoned fighters. Competition sharpened his abilities and strengthened his resolve. Losses became teachers, victories confirmations of progress. The shy boy from Oklahoma was transforming into a confident martial artist. His school was more than a business. It was proof that determination, when paired with patience, yields results. Through consistency, he turned vision into reality and doubt into disciplined achievement. Rising to champion. Mastery through perseverance. By 1967, Norris claimed his first major championship, eventually becoming professional middleweight karate champion for 6 consecutive years. His success was not flamboyant, but steady. Fellow competitors respected his work ethic and composure. Titles were not his ultimate goal. They were milestones marking growth. Years of repetition, sacrifice, and focus had culminated in mastery. Yet even at the height of his competitive career, humility remained central. He understood that strength required maintenance and that confidence must never overshadow discipline. The transformation from timid youth to accomplished champion was complete, but another arena awaited him. His journey proved that perseverance compounds over time. The same resilience that helped him endure childhood turmoil now propelled him to athletic excellence. Through dedication rather than spectacle, he earned recognition. Mastery, he demonstrated, is less about defeating others and more about overcoming the limitations within oneself. Hollywood breakthrough, recognition earned. In 1978, his breakthrough arrived with Good Guys Wear Black. The film's success redefined him from martial artist to leading action star. The following decade brought roles in The Octagon, Lone Wolf McQuade, Missing in Action, Code of Silence, and The Delta Force. Audiences admired not only his fighting ability, but the moral clarity of his characters. He portrayed heroes who valued justice, loyalty, and integrity. Yet fame never erased personal trials. The loss of his younger brother in Vietnam and the eventual end of his first marriage reminded him that success does not shield one from pain. Even as accolades accumulated, he continued confronting private grief with the same resilience that shaped his early years. Love, devotion, and enduring commitment. In 1998, Norris married Gina O'Kelly, embracing a new chapter centered on family. The birth of their twins in 2001 shifted his priorities from film sets to fatherhood. Life on their Texas ranch offered tranquility far removed from Hollywood's pace. When Gina faced a severe medical crisis in 2013, Norris stepped away from public life to care for her. His devotion illustrated strength beyond physical prowess. He traveled extensively seeking treatments, prioritizing her well-being above career. The action hero image faded beside hospital rooms and uncertainty, revealing a deeper courage rooted in love. This chapter of his life reaffirmed a central truth. Strength is measured not in victories, but in loyalty during hardship. Through caregiving and steadfast presence, he demonstrated that resilience finds its highest expression in compassion and commitment. Conclusion: the legacy of quiet strength. From humble beginnings in Oklahoma to international fame, Chuck Norris's life embodies perseverance, discipline, and devotion. His journey proves that adversity can become foundation rather than limitation. Championships, films, and recognition mark achievements, but they do not define his true legacy. That legacy lies in his refusal to surrender to fear, in his loyalty to family, and in his steady moral compass. Strength, as his story illustrates, is neither loud nor boastful. It is patient, it is consistent, it is forged in unseen battles and sustained through love. Whether in a dojo, on a film set, or beside a hospital bed, Norris has demonstrated that real heroism resides not in spectacle, but in steadfast character. His life invites us to cultivate resilience, embrace discipline, and rise again and again, no matter the challenge before us.